Hello guys, welcome to the channel again. RoyalFosse here. I thought I would give you a brief video today on the ins and outs and proper workings of NeoFly. Basically, there's probably a lot of you out there that either have looked at trying to use NeoFly or are just a little bit overwhelmed by all the careers and that you have on Microsoft Flight Simulator, or didn't really, to be honest, know that this existed. So for those of you starting out, sometimes it's quite hard to read a manual or so on and so forth. I'm always a person that tries to find a video on YouTube or something like that to guide me in the right direction of how to use it or use a particular product or that. So I thought I would do that today. So NeoFly is completely simple. It's really simple. You literally go onto the NeoFly website. Here it is up here, and then there are two types of NeoFly that you can download. Now currently there is NeoFly 3, which is the old system. That has all the fully integrated basically system that's working, which is the old system. And then the new easy access NeoFly 4, which is the one that I am going to basically give you a hint on or an insight into today. There is nothing against NeoFly 3. It's absolutely a really good platform. In fact, I've only just stopped utilising it only because I find NeoFly 4 is basically the way that that the system is evolving, really. Straightforward. You can download NeoFly 4 via this part up here. However, what you do have to do for NeoFly 4 or any of them is you do have to donate. You know, these guys that are making NeoFly at the moment have to, you know, it can't be something that's free. So there is a donation, but you're talking not a lot of money. So I do really urge you just to pop onto the website and have a look. Just for information, I'm not getting anything from this particular video itself. Realistically, what I'm looking for is the fact that not many people. Well, there's not many videos on YouTube that are really discussing NeoFly. There's quite a few that were on NeoFly 3, so I thought I'd try and bridge that gap a little bit and try and help you guys out who have yet to use it. Anyway, so once it's downloaded, it's straightforward. It's a complete install. It is literally its own installer now. You download it, double click on the installer, and it does it all for you. Once you have loaded NeoFly, I obviously have it on the desktop here. Once you have NeoFly, you can double click on it, and then this will come up where you can utilize or make your own pilot. Now there are two types of thing in NeoFly. You can have your individual career or your individual pilot career, or there is the company part of the NeoFly, basically the NeoFly system. The company is free at the moment for early access. However, I do believe that you will have to donate, or it will become something that you can buy as an add-on to NeoFly 4 when it opens and goes past early access. Now, the company part is obviously you being able to get pilots or hire pilots who can fly for you. Therefore, you can have multiple aircraft, multiple AI pilots, and then you can bridge the gap by trying to make as much money as possible. And that's really what I'm going to talk through today. So the company access, I've just clicked on here. Obviously there's a little warning there just to say that it is early access, and if you have any problems then you can go via their Discord, which I urge people to do as well. And you can there's the pilot office for Discord at the moment, which you get access to when you have your NeoFly 4 key. So this is the main area or the desktop for NeoFly. Obviously mine is a little bit, well, it's a bit more advanced because I've made some money and so on and so forth. If you do not have the company part of NeoFly, what you can do is come all the way down to here, which is the basket, and the hired pilots part you can activate in here, and obviously it is free via the early access at the moment. Once you've activated it, you will get given a pilot who is Berlin, I believe, here, and then you get given a simple aeroplane and a pilot, and then you can go on and start making missions or making missions. So I currently have 2 aircraft. I have the Britten-Norman Island and the Cessna 414, which this is my pilot here. Obviously this is Royal here, and then I have Vapor, so I actually fired Berlin. Now, what you can do is you can hire more pilots, so you can view the pilot market by going on this pilot icon here, clicking on the pilot icon, and then you've got all these pilots here that you can hire. Obviously, the more they are a day, but they have special skills. For example, they have this one here, Razor, has better dexterity at landing and manoeuvring, and better long flight endurance. Now, the really good thing that I do like about NeoFly 4 and this pilot or the company thing is, in fact, they can actually fail a flight. So I had a flight here where the result failed. I had hard landing and goods damage, and 28 phones were broken, which obviously means that I took a loss or took a partial loss on that flight. And I think that's really good. Vice versa, you can get a really good result here, so I've got a result bonus here, which therefore means that I've got more. Yeah, it's just a really, really good thing with NeoFly that obviously, you know, it's not stagnant all the time. There is stuff that can go wrong, so you do have to be careful with putting fragile stuff and so on and so forth. Obviously, again here, this was Berlin. She was a cadet pilot at the time. Obviously, I probably did the silly thing and gave her old wine to transport, and she broke 94 of my old wine, which was quite a bit of money, to be fair. So going all the way back from the start, so we have this home screen here. For people that are completely new to it, if you don't have the company and you just want to get yourself started, you'll have your plane up in here. First things that I would always do with your aircraft is make sure that you insure it, like I said in the previous video, because if you were to crash or anything like that, your aircraft is insured. And another thing is to note what aircraft you're in, so therefore when you go to your briefing you can make sure that you get everything up in green at the top. If you simply want to fly or do a mission, what you can do is select these different bars across here, which basically limit the amount of stuff that you can do with your aircraft. So for example, if I don't want to do any flights that are over 200 miles, this will then put all the flights that are within that 200 mile range, so I don't have flights that are coming all the way out to 600 miles up here, for example. These are all the flights that I have at the moment. Obviously, I've got a little bit of skill now, which therefore means that I've opened quite a few of these areas up here. If there is a particular job that you're looking for, you can downscale it even more by clicking off them. So you can click off all of these, and for example, if I'm just looking for a medical flight, I can get rid of all of these, and then the medical flights that I'm able to take will be are the only ones that will show up. And then obviously you can re-select the ones back on that you want to do. Be mindful that you can obviously select ones that you can select all of them, and the ones that come up the only ones that come up that are in your skill level will be the ones that come up, if that makes sense. So you won't get any airline passenger ones if your skill level doesn't allow you to. So that is the main thing. If you want to do a particular flight, all you simply do is, for example, if I'm down here at the moment, so I'm in Lima Foxtrot Romeo Tango, in Saint Brieuc Armor, I think it's a military base at the time. What I do is I simply click on the particular one that I want to do. Down here will show me how much money I'm getting for the flight, and then all I would simply do is click down here. Now, a slight warning, if you haven't loaded Microsoft Flight Simulator up yet, if you click this this button here, it will self-load the mission. So what I'm trying to say is when you go into Microsoft Flight Simulator and start loading the airport and the aircraft, on the loading scene before you even got into your aircraft or your aircraft is loaded, you will start hearing the immersion of passengers loading. Now sometimes that spoils it a little bit for me because I'm looking at a loading screen whilst the passengers are loading in my aircraft and I haven't really set anything up yet. So what I generally do is click on Microsoft Flight Simulator. I get into the airport where I want to, and then I only load up my flights and that when I'm in my actual aircraft, which obviously will add to a little bit of the immersion. But all you do is simply click down here. If you do not have this part, this bit here, and it is empty, for example, or this little aeroplane here isn't shown, that means that your aircraft potentially cannot do that flight yet. Potentially means that your payload has already been reached and you cannot stack the mission. You can stack missions, i.e. you can do 2 or 3, as long as you have the payload to be able to do it, if that makes sense. But what you would do is you'd simply click on here, your job has been added. It will then go up and come into basically your stack of missions. So what you would do is you go up into the hangar here. This is your mission list, which basically means that these are your stacked missions at the time. And then what you can do down here is then start adjusting your fuel and if you want to repair your plane before it. Then what you can do is go to your briefing, and you've got all your reds up here at the moment, so I haven't loaded Microsoft Flight Simulator, but when you load into the airport and you load into the correct aircraft and get the correct payload, all of these will turn green and then your immersion will start. You'll see this in later videos when I start using Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you don't want a mission, it's quite simple. You can just click on the mission here and then dump it. And then basically what that means is it goes all the way back and you get rid of that particular mission. For a flip side of if you want to start doing stuff with your pilot that you're hiring, at the moment this one is the one that's selected because it's been selected and it's in the highlighted green. I would click over onto this company person here and then it will load, and therefore now means that I'm now on this aircraft and the hired pilot, and it also transports you to the airport that they're at right now. So this is obviously the airport just here, Echo Tango Uniform Oscar, which highlights up here as well. So what I generally do with my company guys to get the maximum amount of money is try and look for an area that is selling the most. So at this current moment in time, this airport is selling phones. Now that is obviously a really good thing because phones sell for a lot. When you right click, so if you left click on different airports, that will tell you what's selling at the particular time. But try and remember where your pilot is, or make sure that you remember where this airfield is. Remember it's still up here, so you can't completely forget. If you left click on other aircraft, or other airports should I say, what it will do is it will bring up what they're selling. So for example, I've clicked on Echo Delta Lima Tango here. You can see what they're selling. If you know what the airports are around here, you can just click in here. So for example, if I wanted to see what Jersey was selling, I could just type in Jersey and then it would tell me what Jersey is saying. And then if I wanted to go back to the current airport that the pilot's on, then this will transport me all the way back, okay? So what I generally try and do is find something we like caviar. Now caviar is 514 selling here, which is actually quite low for caviar. However, what you are also mindful of is the amount of units. So 243 caviar isn't actually a great deal, but it's just something to bear in mind. But what we will do is we'll go with phones for now because this is where my pilot currently is. Now if you right click, it will go into what the airports are buying that you click on. So right click and only the buying will come up, which therefore means it keeps the place that you're at already still on the selling page, and that basically means what you can do is you can start summarizing or comparing what the other airports do. And what you're basically looking for is an airport that sells phones. So obviously this is a good one here. I'm getting a profit. A star generally means that it's a maximum profit you're going to get. They're actually taking 279 quantity here and there, and this I have 217. So what I simply do is go across here. I'll buy all 217, but make sure I'm clicking on phones before I do that. Now that I've got the phones in board, I'll make sure that I'll, even like close down here is selling at 10. So the quantity that they're buying is 196. So I'll do 196. Down here, you can click the arrows on your keyboard if you want to go up 1 or 2. So 196 down there, and although this isn't I'm not going to get much profit. Remember that you still pay for airport fees and that when you land. So what I generally take the smaller items is it just basically negates the airport fees and you get your main profit from like the phones. Once the phones, once I'm done here, what I generally tend to do is see if there's any missions that are in the area. So I'm looking for Echo Delta Victor Romeo, which is up here near Minden. So I'll go up here and I'll look up near Minden, and it was, just to double check, Echo Delta Victor Romeo. Echo Delta Victor Romeo. And there's no missions there at the moment, so I generally just forget that. Now, to make sure that I'm definitely on Echo Delta Victor Romeo, I then click the middle mouse button, which will allow me to do a transit mission. Do you want to create a transit mission for Vapor to Echo Delta Victor Romeo? I then click yes. That will then load the transit mission. However, what a lot of people don't realise is that he is not actually flying yet. So you haven't actually started the mission. What you need to do to start the mission is go up into here and click this button here. Once you click this flight button, send the pilot to next destination, click on it, and then your cargo will go and NeoFly will load. Once that's loading, you know that you've clicked on it. You can click back down here and double check out your pilots. And now what I can see here is that Pilot Vapor is the flight that he's doing, so he's going over to Echo Delta Victor Romeo. His status at the moment is he's loading the aircraft, and the estimated time of arrival is 16:20. So this is something you can take into note as well. It's generally about 5 minutes either side, if not a little bit more or a little bit less, because you've got loading and flight time. So that's just to let you know that you can double check when he's landed. The good thing about NeoFly 4, unlike NeoFly 3, is when Vapor lands, he will automatically sell the goods. So the good thing from that is I don't have to constantly be on check with him, which is what you had to do on NeoFly 3. You could keep pilots, land them and then forget about them the next day, and then the items would actually perish if you're unlucky enough to do that. So the good thing is, as soon as Vapor gets there, he will sell it and then he's good to fly again. So he's now going to fly. You'll check his status along and make sure. At this point in time, I generally then can click on here and I could go through and then I could set a flight up for myself and fly. But you can have up to, I'm not too sure how many at the moment, but it looks like you can have up until 4 pilots at this moment in time. You can start making some serious cash, and we'll see what my profit is like in the last moment or at the end. So what I generally do now is, now that I know that he is flying off to Echo Delta Victor Romeo, what I will generally do or look at now is what Echo Delta Victor Romeo has for selling. And the good thing is, Echo Delta Victor Romeo is selling caviar, which is 209, and he's also selling old wine, and he's got 161. So already what I'm starting to look at is, because I know it's Echo Delta Victor Romeo, I can then right click on these now and start seeing where he can fly next. So this is perfect. Echo Delta 78 is buying caviar and old wine and whiskey. So I generally make a little note of that, and I know that that is going to be his next flight. and we can completely top him up and then send him on his way to there. Then I could go again and have a look at what Echo Delta 78 is selling. And Echo Delta 78 is selling phones. And what you're generally doing is trying to build up a picture so you know straight away where you're going to send your next pilot. And you can do this, throughout the day, or you can do it for as long as you want. And within, a good half an hour or so, you can build up some serious money. The other thing that you can do is have a look at areas where you can just send them. So if you just wanted to send him somewhere, you can just make a transit. So if you were, for example, to try and look for caviar, 590 here, 731 caviar at EDDW, or Echo Delta Delta Whiskey. That is an awful lot of caviar. So you could just send him there, load up your plane, and then send him off to different aircrafts to sell that caviar, which is another way you can do it. What you can do is have a look at the market panel, which is by clicking on this particular area here, and you can see all the locations where a particular item is. However, you have to have clicked on these locations to start with. So as far as I'm aware, unless the easy access has got better or has upgraded, you have to physically go round the marketplace and find these items first. So you would go round and double click on a load of them, and make sure that you're clicking on the areas of where to find them. Then you can go on to the market panel and click where you've seen caviar. One thing to be mindful is the expiration date. So that therefore means that on the 20th of the 10th at 8 o'clock tonight, Echo Delta Whiskey Victor will not be selling caviar anymore. So be mindful that don't just go off of this particular panel here, because it could have expired, especially if you're doing it over the next day. For example, if I went and got a load of caviar and left it overnight and looked here to make sure that I was going to sell it here, it may not actually be there. NeoFly 4 has updated because these dates here used to be very, a lot in the past. Basically, it meant sometimes it would catch you out because it had actually already expired and you went to sell it to an airport that it wasn't actually there anymore. So you can click all the way along here to find out where the most expensive stuff. Obviously, it goes in profit order here, or not profit order, but expense order here. So blue to red, obviously red being the contraband. It also gives you the criteria for the items as well. For example, if you click on old wine here, it's sensitive goods, so you have to land carefully. And for example, your contraband here, it's illegal goods, so you must fly under 1,000 feet. So make sure you know that you're doing what you're doing. Do not buy a load of this pilfer or pilser or cigars, for example, and then fly over 1,000 feet, or else it will be confiscated on landing. Anyway, guys, I hope this has given you a little bit of an insight into NeoFly. There's an awful lot more to talk about, but I didn't want to make the video too long. For example, if you wanted to gain licenses, you can go onto this page here. If you wanted to do a turboprop license, you go to here. You have to fly to the particular location that this is, and it will give you stars on the relevant bonus. So, for example, if you get 3 stars, your bonus on every mission that you do will be more. Also, your planes, if you want to buy or rent planes, is here. Remember, you can rent aircraft instead of actually buying them outright, so it allows you to get into a more expensive aircraft sooner. So, for example, if you wanted to get into the Cessna 414 here and didn't have £1 million, which is what they're, £500,000 here, which is what they're currently going for. One that's incredibly, this one will be broken quite a bit. That's a 30% engine there. You can rent it, so you can only put close to 100 grand down. Then it's 577 per flight hour, which you can make up. So this is actually what I started on and worked my way up. You can make some serious money in here, and that the best way to do it is via the company rule, because I generally like flying the Cessna 414, which doesn't have a massive payload. It also allows you to do a lot of bush flying, and you can concentrate on making the big money with a high payload aircraft and a hired person. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. This is just a brief introduction to NeoFly 4. I'm sure I've forgotten loads. I've probably got a few bits wrong as well, but hopefully this gives you the insight into wanting to give it a go, and also to get you out there. It's really immersive with Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's also really good for VATSIM. I've done a couple of parachute flights on NeoFly 4 with VATSIM, so there's a couple of, the controllers that I've dealt with have been really helpful. I've just sent them a message beforehand to say that I've got a parachute jump on NeoFly. Am I able to go off to the north, VFR? And they cleared me all the way up to 10,000 feet to allow me to do the parachute jump, and it adds a little bit of immersion for them as well. So please try and use NeoFly 4 as much as you can, and integrate it into Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is an absolutely perfect tool. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall speak to you soon. See you later. Bye bye.